I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
I knew it. I love when he does that.
Wrestling has more than one royal family.
Adrenaline in my soul, something, something, Cody Rhodes. I'm the tribal chief around here. Yeah, you see me, the tribal chief. That's right.
Time. But let me go ahead and tell you.
Shut your bitch ass up.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 473 of the Hoots Podcast. It's July 11th, 2025. Boy, this is going to be a long month. Wait a minute. Never mind. I thought this was going to be a long month because it's 31 days, but it's already July 11th, so who am I thinking? Anyways, welcome to the program, everybody. It's your truly nefarious brother Adam, a.k.a. Joshie Lopez. Make sure to follow the podcast on Odyssey. This is our new home for the Hoots Podcast, so make sure to follow the show on Odyssey. You can also get your podcast. You can get this podcast anywhere is your favorite podcasting platforms, as like Spotify, what? Apple Podcasts, what? Anywhere, what? If you are checking us out on YouTube right now, make sure to hit the like button and smash the subscribe button. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, so any little help on that end would definitely help us out as well. I'm Joshie. Like I said, you can hit me up on X if you like at the Hoots Podcast. Instagram is at Josh Lopez Music. On the podcast this week, we got a lot to discuss because there's a lot of wrestling taking place this weekend. I'll be covering the majority of the wrestling that's be taking place in Atlanta, Georgia this weekend with NXT Great American Bash, Saturday night's main event, and of course Evolution. So I'll be covering all those shows in the results section of WrestlingHeadlines.com. But also you can check out my transcripts in general at ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com if you ever want to use it as a point of reference for your own wrestling podcast. There's a lot of shows out there with a lot of people that blur out a lot of fucking takes, and it's really not hard to depict who's actually paying attention to these shows and who are not, because this is the qualm of myself doing these transcripts and play-by-play articles for the last 12 years. I know who are actually paying attention to the storylines and who are not. For example, all this week I've been seeing on X, the Evolution build is thrown together. They just threw a card together and they didn't care about build. God, if I have to hear a complaint about a build towards a PLE again, my head's going to explode. This is like the same routine every fucking time there's a pay-per-view coming up. Oh, the build was this, the build was that, the build was this. How about this for a build? Shove your build up your ass and admit the fact that you don't like builds because it didn't line up with your fucking fantasy booking. How about that? Let's start off hot this week because I'm at my wit's end for this stupidity that I have to see on these wrestling social media platforms, let alone the podcasts and people who are supposed to be credible in the wrestling space. Even they expose themselves for not actually paying attention to the show. Okay, you're going to tell me that the Evolution card is thrown together and there's no stories attached to it. I'm sorry. I think Rhea Ripley and Io Sky's story kind of writes itself. Did you see their match at WrestleMania? Have we not hinted towards the fact that Rhea Ripley has never defeated Io Sky in a match? What build do you need for that? Also, I must be oblivious to the last 3 months of programming that I've been seeing between Becky Lynch, Bayley, and Lyra Valkyria. I guess that hasn't been a story. Oh wait, there's more. Naomi and Jade Cargill. Oh wait, there's more. JC Jane and Jordan Grace fighting for the NXT Women's Championship. Oh wait, there's more. Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair have been interacting with each other for 2 months, and now they're a tag team going for the tag team titles. Oh, wait a minute. Just wait a second. Oh, yeah, the Judgment Day. They lost their member in Liv Morgan. That's the tag team fatal 4-way match. What else am I missing here? If you want to tell me that the Battle Royal and the Tiffany Stratton Trish Stratus match is thrown together, fine, I'll take you with that. But don't sit here with a straight face and tell me that this Evolution card was thrown together and there's no stories attached to it, because you're not really paying attention to the product. Because there's too many people these days that they're exposing themselves that they consume the product through certain lenses, and you're not fooling me anymore. So, in this week in WWE, I'll be making my predictions for all three of those shows that I'll be covering. And then we'll answer your questions for the Back Porch Q&A session this week as well. So I got questions from Chris and Mike this week. The reason I'm starting out hot this way, because earlier this week I happened to post something on X that happened to go viral. And part of me is happy that I did share it, and part of me is not happy that I shared it, because I think the purpose of why I shared it just reverted into what it always does on the IWC, and that's tribalism. I shared this idiotic take that I heard from the podcast called Breaking Kayfabe, and I saw this clip on Instagram the other day, and my jaw was on the floor when I heard this stupidity. And I'm going to replay it for you guys. And a lot of the reasons why I'm bringing this stuff up, especially with the fact that we're on the final stages of what this podcast is going to be, and knowing that episode 500 may be the end of the Hoots Podcast, or just the end of myself talking about wrestling on a podcast, it's because of stupid shit like this. And it's stuff like this that makes this space look bad. My advice for anybody that wants to get in this space, whether you want to be a video content creator, a podcaster, or whatever, do not carry yourself like this twat.
My issue with Mariah May signing with WWE is very simple. My issue that I have is there was a report that came out from Dave Metzler. She signed, according to Dave Metzler, just like Stephanie Vaquer, she signed a pay cut to go to WWE for her WrestleMania moment, for her dream of WWE. That's my issue. Is the fact that you have to understand something. This business, you're not just clocking in and going to the office. You're not teaching kids. You're not having an easy job. You're putting your body on the line. You're actually going out there and potentially either maybe getting a concussion, maybe breaking a rib or a leg or something. This ain't ballet. And the fact that you are willing to take a pay cut just for a WrestleMania moment, or just because you want to be in the Fed, I'm sorry, but that's crazy to me.
Yep, there you go. This grade A homogenized Holstein bullshit. Anyways, I'm showing you this because this is how a lot of you guys carry yourself on a lot of these podcasts. You just listen to about a minute and 10 seconds of a guy going out of his way trying to be that guy. We always know that guy, right? They always has to come up with the stupidest fucking opinions in God's green earth because he wants to be that guy, right? Who are you to tell somebody that they're not worthy enough for the contract that they get? Or more importantly, who are you to dictate why a performer would want to pursue her dreams and achieve her life goal, but no, she needs to put that to the side for more money? Who the fuck are you? Anyways, we got a lot to discuss this week. I want to keep it positive and just keep it straight to the wrestling stuff, but I needed to get that stuff off my chest. I'm sad that I reposted it in a way because it ended up turning into this whole, tribalism thing, and that was not the purpose of why I shared the clip. I shared the clip because there's too many people like this that are getting tension, and it's just it's doing damage to the fan base. It's disrespectful as shit to the wrestlers. I have too much respect for the wrestlers to come on here and try to tell them what they should or should not do with their own money. Their decisions are their decisions. And anytime I have been critical about Mercedes Moné, she does it to herself. I don't care what money she makes. That's not my place to talk about it. Her exposing herself for how she treats her friends, not her friends, the way Mercedes Moné treats her fans and how she carries herself outside of the ring from stuff that I've heard from people that have worked with her in the past. I've been try to be fair with her, and I respect what she does in the ring, but she's a malcontent. She's not a good person, and like, like it's different. Like I'm not gonna comment, even if I have my own criticisms of Mercedes Moné. I'm not gonna come on a podcast and be like, "Oh, she made a mistake going to AEW for more money." That's your decision. Great. I don't care at the end of the day. I'm not going to be like this guy and be like, oh, it's a mistake for her, for Blake Monroe to go to WWE because of a WrestleMania move. Like, that's like the markiest of marked things to say on a podcast. Anyways, let's move on. When we come back, let's get into This Week in WWE. I got a little bit of audio that I want to share with you guys this week. And we'll get to my predictions for the Great American Bash. We'll get into Saturday night's main event. And, of course, Evolution on Sunday. Sit back, relax, strap it down. And, by the way, I want to send my thoughts and prayers and condolences to the family of Bobby Jenks, the infamous closer for the 2005 Chicago White Sox, who are celebrating their 20th anniversary of their World Series team this weekend here in Chicago. Bobby unfortunately passed away last Friday on 4th of July, and died way, way too young. I was taken aback by that post that ESPN shared on X. Like, I don't care how young that administrator was that posted that tweet. That's just disrespectful. ESPN's been beyond disrespectful to the White Sox and that 05 team since they won it. And I don't know why. It's to say that the guy was just on the roster when he was one of the sole reasons why they won the World Series in the first place. It's just a slap to the face to his family, the White Sox organization, and all the White Sox fans across the world. And ESPN, you should be ashamed of yourselves, honestly. But on that note, we'll be right back. This is episode 473 of the Hoots Podcast. It's the road to episode 500 continues. We'll be right back. Yeet. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the podcast of Hoots. Indeed, the Hoots Podcast, episode 473, number one in your heart. We are 27 episodes away from the final edition as of now of the Hoots Podcast, which will be episode 500. I'm just going to throw this out there. It's not 100% guaranteed that I'll be done with podcasting once we get to 500, but I'm at my wit's end about talking about wrestling on the podcast, especially by myself, and I need some time and space away from the wrestling side of podcasting. I'm not saying that I'm done with podcasting in general. Maybe I come up with a new name for the show, or I could continue the Hoots Podcast as it is and just not talk about wrestling. But I don't know. I have some very important decisions to make in these next 6 or 7 months that we got left here at the show. And I just appreciate all of you who are still taking this ride with us as we get to 500. I appreciate all of you guys. You guys make it worthwhile for me. Before we get to the predictions and all the stuff that's taking place this weekend in Atlanta, Georgia, I do want to discuss no, not discuss. I want to share bits of clips of an interview that I got to check out yesterday. Saraya, the most beautiful woman on God's green earth, Saraya, was a guest on Chris Van Vliet's Insight podcast. Chris does the best interviews in the industry. I'm not alone in that sentiment. Chris is the best in the field when it comes to doing interviews and stuff like that. And I'm very proud of him for the brand that he's made. It's crazy if you think about it. I actually had Chris Van Vliet as a guest on my old Pro Wrestling Experience radio show back in the day. Even right before he exploded into doing this as his own brand, where he has over 1 million subscribers for his clip channel, over 600,000 subscribers on his main YouTube page. The guy's an inspiration, man, for building his own brand and stuff like that. I could be prouder for Chris Van Vliet. He's a really good dude, and it would be nice to shoot the shit with him. That would be pretty cool. But anyways, let's do it. Let's share these excerpts and stuff that stood out to me from Paige's interview with Chris Van Vliet on Insight.
You're a free agent in September? Is that right? Or are you a free agent now?
I'm a free agent now.
I thought I saw something that, like, your contract's not up till September.
No, I'm a free agent now.
Okay.
Yeah.
You could pop up anywhere.
I could pop up anywhere.
At any point in time.
Yeah. No, my contract's done. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the one thing that helped is because, like, they gave me the opportunity to walk away from this contract. I mean, not a lot of companies or businesses would do that, but Tony was really, really great about it. So I was like, you can keep paying me, or I can just take a hike, like.
But is it like you can leave, but you can't go to WWE for a certain amount of time?
No, Tony was great.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a clean split. That was it. And
so you could pop up in WWE.
I could.
Tomorrow.
I could. Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah.
Well,
Everyone keeps saying that because I know Evolution's going to pop up soon.
Well.
Which, for everyone that's not familiar with Evolution, is an all-female pay-per-view that WWE puts on. I was on the first one, wasn't wrestling on it because of my neck. But there is a second one, finally. I only took him, like, how long? Fuck.
Would Saraya be there, or would Paige be there?
Paige, 100%.
So Paige would return to WWE?
Yeah, I miss Paige so much.
Yeah?
I tell people all the time.
What do you miss about Paige?
Okay, so again, when I went to AEW, I didn't want to be close to my character in WWE because of the comparisons, I was like, okay. And then I ended up being, like, a chicken shit heel with AEW, which is all fun and good, but there's, like, a ceiling to that. Whereas Paige, I mean, she's generational. I love her. She's, like, badass, like, tough as nails, like, just screaming all the time. I loved being her. She was a fucking badass, and that felt like more just like an elevated version of myself rather than doing what I was doing in AEW. But, again, that was my decision to be like that. But then I was like, damn, I wish I leaned more into, like, my original character, but it is what it is. You live, you learn.
You haven't had a match since last year.
Right.
So, do you miss it?
Yeah, I do. I do. Wrestling, if you haven't wrestled in a while, it really hurts your body. And you forget how much it fucking hurts because before I took the long break with my neck, I never had time off, right? And so I was wrestling nearly every other day since I was 13 years old. I was constantly in a ring, training, having wrestling matches, traveling, all that kind of stuff. So my body became one giant callus, right? I was just one giant scab, pretty much. And so once my body healed and I took a bump, I was like, oh, this fucking sucks. Like, this hurts. This hurts like a bitch, especially when you have no adrenaline, And so, yeah, having a match after you've had time off, like, you feel like you've been hit by a car. You're just like, oh, my God. So I do miss wrestling. I miss the adrenaline rush. I miss entertaining. I miss getting in the ring and feeling like Paige mostly. I miss being wrestling as Paige.
All right, that's the first part I want to play. Here's another part.
Could you come and do Evolution?
I would, it's like a bittersweet thing because the first one, I couldn't be on it because of my neck. So if I had the opportunity to be on this all-female pay-per-view, of course, yeah, I would think about it.
Well, if you're not at Evolution, maybe it's the Royal Rumble?
I've always had a dream. Royal Rumble too, yeah, sick. I couldn't do the first Royal Rumble either because of my neck.
Okay, look at us.
I would love to. But my dream would be... So I debuted the Raw after WrestleMania, and in New Orleans. And then I retired the Raw after WrestleMania in New Orleans. And I was like, damn, next year was going to be in New Orleans. I was like, that would have been a great time to come back. But then they switched it to Vegas, and I was like, fuck.
They're going to go to New Orleans at some point in time.
Sure.
We don't know if it's next year, the year after, whatever. Sure. Like, it's going to happen, but I don't think we can wait that long.
No, I get asked all the time. Like, my sign-ins and stuff like that is literally every person is like, when are you coming back? When are you going to come? And they all want me to come back to WWE. And I was like, I didn't realize you guys like me that much.
What are you talking about?
I get a little, like, what's the word? I don't know what it's called. You know, where imposter syndrome?
Sure.
Where, like, sometimes I feel like, you know, because social media kind of makes you feel like that. That's why I have to delete it. And that's why I'm barely on Twitter, right? I'll post and delete it. But
Twitter's so mean.
They're fucking mean, dude. And they make you feel like you're this fucking small and you suck and you all these kind of things.
It's all the people with no profile photos.
Oh, yeah, dude. For sure. Like, never had a woman touch their ween ever in their fucking life, dude. It's really bad. But... you know, you start to believe it after people keep punching it into you so much. You're just like, okay, like I can either just delete it off social media and ignore it, or there was points where I was just like, what is that? Am I shit? You know, and so I get like a little imposter syndrome sometimes. Like if I go to my signings, I'm like, no one's going to turn up. No one's going to be there. But then I'll have like the biggest line out there, you know what I mean? And it's really great. But I feel like it's good to be like that. Like you want to have some kind of humbleness about you. I can look around and be like, I'm fucking Billy Big Balls, bro. I'm the fucking shit.
I was first ever NXT Women's Champion.
That's right. I mean, I do say that. I am first ever NXT Women's Champion.
All right, this is the last part from I wanted to share with you guys from Saraya's interview on Chris Van Vliet's Insight.
So are there some dream matches still in WWE?
You know who I get all the time? I always get Rhea to either be a tag team partner, you know, the original Goth sister to like the ultimate Goth sister. So I'd love to be in a team with her or wrestle her because that's what people want. I would love to wrestle Mercedes down the line because it's a built-in storyline, you know. All the girls now, they're all superstars, dude. Like I would get in the ring with anybody at any point in time. They're all amazing. Probably Natty again. I love Natty. I've wrestled her a billion times, but oh my God, you never...
There's a reason they call her the Boat.
She is the boat.
She's so good.
And I love that she switched up her character recently, and she's more like tough as nails. Like, you know,
she's saying Natalya is one person, but Natty is somebody completely different.
She's tough. If I had a bar fight, I would take that bitch with me. Yeah, she's tough as nails, dude. And everyone always thought she was a sweetheart. She is a sweetheart.
Yeah.
You know, she's a fucking diamond, the sweetest person ever. But she can throw some punches, dude.
Yeah, she's trained in the dungeon.
Yeah, and she does like MMA and shit like that. You know, she'll pretzel you in no time.
It's funny you mention a bar fight.
All right, so that was Saraya's interview on CVV. Shout out to Chris. Let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do some rapid fire prediction and thoughts for these slew of shows that I'll be covering this weekend. As I'm saying that, tonight we have SmackDown, we have the Street Profits putting their tag team titles on the line against the Wyatt Six. That's taking place tonight. Also, on SmackDown, we got Aleister Black taking on Ron Killings, and Jelly Roll is going to be on the show tonight, with the show being in Nashville, so I'm curious to see what Jelly is doing. I've become a really big fan of Jelly Roll over the years, and it's awesome that he's like a big wrestling fan. Obviously, one of his underrated songs that I like that he has with Cody Johnson called Whiskey Bet. That's a damn good song. If you haven't checked that one out, you are missing out, my friends. But that is SmackDown. Let's get into what I'm doing this weekend. Like I said earlier, if you want to see my transcripts for all these events, make sure to check out the results section of WrestlingHeadlines.com. And I'm starting off with the Great American Bash from Center Stage. Oh yes, the old home of WCW. We'll be having NXT Great American Bash. And again, this is another example of people who are saying, oh, look at this card. This is horrible. None of these matches make sense. Blah, 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 blah. Anytime you want to sleep on that NXT stuff, man, they show out, and they show out in the big time. So let's take a look at this. We have the contract signing for Joe Hendry, Trick Williams, and Mike Santana, their triple threat match for that TNA World Heavyweight Championship at Slammiversary. That is a contract signing that is taking place on the PLE. So I'm looking forward to that. We got Javon Evans and Jasper Troy. These two have been at each other's necks for a while. This is going to be a good showcase match for Jasper, Clash of Styles, Evans, and Troy. This is going to be a fun match. I'm excited for that one. I'll probably go with Javon Evans to win that match. We got Soruka putting her NXT Women's North American Championship on the line against Izzy Dame with Tatum Paxley. This is going to be an interesting one. I actually got Soruka winning here, but not saying that's going to happen after this match, but I have a feeling that Zarya is going to be turning on Soruka soon. Just reading the tea leaves and seeing how things have been progressing and stuff like that, I think that Soruka is going to have her back turned by Zarya. Ethan Paige puts his North American title on the line against Ricky Saints in a Falls Count Anywhere match. This is going to be the blow-off match of their rivalry. They've been feuding for months. Their last match that they had inside NXT was freaking insane. I'm curious to see what they do this time, but I do have Ricky Saints beating Ethan Page, so that's definitely going to happen. Obafemi put his NXT Championship on the line against Yoshiki Inamura for the NXT Championship. Don't sleep on this match, man. You like physicality, you like big, meaty man bumping meat, slapping meat, whatever phrase you want to use. This is the one for you. Obafemi and Inamura, they're going to beat the shit out of each other, and I'm here for it. But Obafemi will indeed retain over Inamura, and I don't think anybody would be surprised by that. And what I think will probably be the main event of the show, Jordan Grace and Blake Monroe taking on Fatal Influence, JC Jane and Fallon Henley. Big tag team match. Little appetizer for JC Jane and Jordan Grace at Evolution. You know, when I look at this match in particular, it kind of reminds me of like those tag matches that you would have in New Japan. Like they have like a prelim tag match before the big match of the weekend. This is like something you would see at Cork and Hall or something like that. Jordan Grace, Blake Monroe against Fatal Influence. I'm here for it. It's going to be a good match. I do have Jordan Grace and Blake Monroe winning this match. Obviously, this is going to be Blake's first televised match in WWE. So, obviously, I think they're going to get the victory in this one. But it should be a damn good match and a good appetizer for the stuff that we'll be seeing this weekend for the ladies in Evolution. So that's the Great American Bash. I say do not sleep on this card, guys. This one's going to be very, very good. Let's talk about Saturday night's main event. State Farm Arena on NBC and on Peacock. LA Knight against Seth Rollins has been brewing since Money in the Bank. I've loved the interactions that they've been having with each other as of late. Curious to see if anything happens tonight between those two on SmackDown. Since LA Knight is a SmackDown performer, but we'll have to see on that end. But this is going to be a very big night for Seth Rollins. Think about this. This is the 40th edition of Saturday night's main event, which is crazy to think about. This is going to be a big night for Seth Rollins because this could go a lot of different directions. If LA Knight wins, Seth is not going to appreciate that. There's a whole bunch of things that could happen at the end of the night. Either LA Knight gets packed up. I don't know. Seth Rollins tries to cash in on the main event and gets stopped by Roman Reigns. CM Punk comes out. I'll be I wouldn't say shocked, but I think there's probably a good chance that CM Punk comes out during the LA Knight Seth Rollins match. That's all I'm saying. So I think it's gonna be damn good. I'm curious to see how that match is gonna lay out because I think that'll be a telltale sign of how the rest of that show is gonna go. on Saturday. But we have Solo Sikoa putting his United States Championship on the line against Jimmy Uso. I got Solo retaining in that one. Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre, a rematch from SummerSlam in 2020. Those two had a very, very underrated rivalry in the Thunderdome days. Honestly, I wouldn't mind these two having a match that either goes for a double countout or something like that, and they have the opportunity to fight each other at SummerSlam. So if it's something where it ends up in a no contest or something like that, I wouldn't mind seeing Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton at SummerSlam. I wouldn't mind that at all, actually. So I'm excited for that match. Gunther and Goldberg for the World Heavyweight Championship. This is advertised as Goldberg's final match. Goldberg, I think, has been doing some good stuff. I've come to his defense during this road to Saturday night's main event while Bully Ray and everybody else wants to shit on Goldberg. I have respect for people that want to go out on their own terms, and Goldberg has every right to deserve that right to go out and go out on his terms. And Goldberg was a guest on Shaq Wrestling, Shaquille McJury. He does a lot of work on CBS Sports and stuff like that, and he does a lot of wrestling interviews as well. Before I give you my thoughts on how all this goes down with Goldberg and Gunther, let's play a little bit of that interview because I thought it was very good, and I have a lot of respect for Bill Goldberg, and I don't think he gets enough credit for what he's done to the wrestling business.
Invasion.
All right.
Let's start here. I was reading about how you got the call for this event and how Triple H dials you up while you're out there, tending to your land, and you actually didn't pick up the first time because you didn't know who called. How bad have these spam callers gotten? You almost missed this huge phone call because you never know who's calling you anymore.
Yeah, you really don't. I had the conversation with my wife last week. I mean, half the phone calls we get are spam, and personally, at this point, I believe it's an invasion of privacy, and it should be against the law. But that's a whole nother conversation, man. It was pretty wild how it transpired. Obviously, it wasn't the best case scenario for me. I would have liked to have gone straight into a retirement match shortly thereafter, the last time I had stepped in the ring, so that I would be mentally and physically more prepared. But this time, they actually gave me a little bit of time to prepare. So as contradicting as that statement is, it turned out to be okay. Let's be honest, I've spoken before about it, and I'm not using it as an excuse by any stretch of the imagination, but I had COVID when I got the last phone call to wrestle Roman in Saudi Arabia. And, at certain points in your career, or if you're a certain individual, you never say no. And there's reasons why you do what you do. And the reality is that I have a job, and I like to be there for my employers when they ask me to do something. If I'm physically able in any way, shape, or form, then that's my responsibility. So that's why I took the Roman deal, even though I had COVID and I hadn't trained for 3 months prior. I had a responsibility, and they needed me, and I helped them out. And I thought that part of the payback for that, obviously, hey, we're going to give them a retirement match. Well, that never transpired. Vince got fired, and the company took on a whole different personality and infrastructure. And yeah, I mean, I'm out on my tractor mowing, our acreage, and I get a phone call from New York, and it's an unknown number it's an unknown number for me, and I didn't pick up. And then I picked up the second time, and lo and behold, it was Mr. Levesque. So I'm appreciative of the opportunity, and also appreciative that they gave me more than 3 weeks to prepare for it.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to one of these days maybe getting a call from Mr. Levesque and not the 200 to 300 spam calls that I keep getting. But
Yeah.
Maybe I haven't quite earned it yet, like you, Bill Goldberg.
Well, I have put my time in.
Yes, sir. What does it mean for you to have this moment in Atlanta? Because it's not just WCW's home base, but also the Georgia Bulldogs, also the Atlanta Falcons. Like, Atlanta is very synonymous and runs very deep in Goldberg's career.
Yeah, I mean, it's my second home. I was born in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and it was a wonderful place to grow up. And I went to the University of Georgia, and then I turned into an Atlanta Peach, for a while. Spent a lot of time of my life, in that part of the country and around those wonderful people. And Atlanta means a lot to me. I mean, it really does. I mean, quite obviously, the Georgia Bulldogs are an hour and a half away in Athens, and then playing for the Falcons. But training at the WCW power plant, having guys like Dwayne Bruce and all of the people who originally helped me out and helped me at the embryonic point of my career, I would not be who I am, nor would the character be who he is, without those times and those special people who lended a hand and, could have been adversaries, but they were friends. They were people that went out of their way to help me try to segue into a different profession and excel. And it's hard for me to eloquate what it means to me to be able to do it in Atlanta.
Thoughts on having Gunther as your last opponent? Two-time world heavyweight champion and very highly regarded by the fan base as one of the best workers of his generation. Don't think Goldberg versus Gunther is something people would have predicted a few years ago, but what does it mean to share this moment with him?
I wouldn't have predicted it either, except for the fact that when I met him the first time, I knew he was going to be something special. I knew he wasn't flamboyant, wasn't over the top. He was old school, and I very much appreciate that. I appreciate his style. I appreciate his professionalism, and I'm honored to share the ring with him. It's always a passing of the torch when you have an old man like myself in there with a new young buck. And, I mean, at the end of the day, you look at how it benefits the company. I don't try to answer all those questions. I'm just appreciative of the opportunity and to share the ring with him. It's gonna be interesting, man. I mean, it truly is, and I'm fairly excited for it.
All right, this is the last part here. He has some words regarding Braun Breaker. I want to share this one here.
There's a debate about who innovated or originated the shoulder tackle, but one thing that's for certain is the reason it's called a spear today and the reason it's known to be as devastating as it is because of Bill Goldberg. I saw a podcast episode.
Let me stop you right there. My question to you is, who, if I didn't innovate it, who did?
Innovated Bill Goldberg. Originated, that's for a wrestling historian greater than me to know where the first run across the ring shoulder tackle came from.
I think Dr. Death had something to do with it.
Yes.
Steve Williams, I think maybe did it. I don't know, but I don't know. As far as I know, I'm not a historian, but I don't know. I'll take a little credit for it.
Yeah, so what I was going to say is I think you're the only one qualified as the person who made the spear to answer this question. The Undertaker recently proposed on an episode of his podcast that everyone else doing the spear in pro wrestling should retire it because Braun Breaker has it down pat. Once Saturday concludes and Goldberg rides off into the sunset, do you think Braun Breaker deserves sole ownership of that move as the next generation?
1,000%. And I saw that interview, number one. Number two, it's pretty funny that interview came up when I'm retiring. And it didn't have anything to do with me because, let's just talk about the reason why everybody started doing the spear at the WWE. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that one out, right? I mean, let's be perfectly honest. They did it to to make mine look bad or, to downplay mine. And I had the conversation last night with Braun, and I told him my feelings on it. And I think 1,000% he's the only human being in the WWE that should be doing that. I know I'm going to catch a lot of hell from that, but I don't care because that's the truth. I mean, it is what it is.
All right. So here we are. All the bitching and kvetching that you've heard from all your favorite shows like Busted Open and Solid Monster. Solid Monster, the guy who thinks his shit don't stink and he has the answers to everything in professional wrestling. And we got Saturday night's main event. Gunther's putting his World Heavyweight Championship on the line against Bill Goldberg. I liked what I saw in the tension between the two that we saw this past Monday night on Raw this week. And I think Bully Ray mentioned this on Busted Open a couple weeks ago. Shows a lot of confidence that the company has in Gunther to be that last person that Goldberg has his last match with. And once again, Gunther will have the opportunity to show the world why he is indeed the best in the world and the ring. Yalala! There's a lot of things going into this match, and I think a lot of this echo chamber bitching and moaning about Goldberg getting a title shot has to do with a lot of people having PTSD. Believe it or not, I think I even heard it on a show the other day that they said, "Oh, Vince McMahon has probably got the pencil again." What? So, supposedly Vince is booking. It's funny, like all these podcasts, all these years that I've been doing this, like their main thing they ever want to talk about is booking. Booking this, booking that, booking this, booking that. Yet they never book a fucking goddamn thing in their goddamn life. But they have all the answers to booking, though. Yeah. Keep telling yourself that. Do I think Bill Goldberg is going to win the World Heavyweight Championship only for Seth Rollins to cash in? No. Do I think Bill Goldberg is going to walk out of Atlanta with the World Heavyweight Championship? I do not. Is there something where Goldberg loses and acknowledges Gunther and it helps Gunther turn into a babyface? And then Seth Rollins tries to cash in and they start getting into a brawl with everybody and Braun Breaker takes out Goldberg for good? Yes, I can see that. I can totally see that. And Seth Rollins is trying to cash in and Roman Reigns comes back to stop him? I can see that too. I don't think Bill Goldberg is walking out, and I get it, but come on, it's SummerSlam, it's the WWE. Oh, of course they could wing another 3 weeks out of his retirement. When I watched that interview that he did with Shaq the other day, and looking in his eyes, I can tell this is the last one for him. And it should be. And it's the perfect place for him to have his last match. And I'm happy for Goldberg that he gets to go on his own terms. Sting did not get the ridicule going into his last match at Revolution the way Goldberg has going into this. And I think that's a fucking double standard to the nth degree. And it's a goddamn shame, to be honest with you. But it's the IWC. What else is new? I think Gunther retains, and I think Goldberg puts Gunther over after the match and acknowledges him. Is it something where Seth Rollins wants to cash in from there, and like I mentioned earlier, Braun Breaker takes out Goldberg for good? I can see that happening as well. What a way to make a statement for Braun Breaker for him to give out a spear to Goldberg. Just think about it. Just think about it. Alright. One last show to predict here is the second annual Evolution PLE. I covered the first one back in 2018. God, I'm an old fart. I've been doing this stuff for a long time. Looks like the show's about to be sold out. No, I'm not going to get into it right now. Everybody's like, oh, look at this. Like, they're not going to sell out. I looked at the Wrestle Ticks this morning. It looks like they're about to sell out soon. Oh, man. IWC's really been at one this week. But let's do this quickly here. There's a lot of matches on this card that I'm looking forward to. Some that can seal the show, like Jade Cargill, Naomi's No Holds Barred match, or JC and Jordan, or the three-way with the women's match for Becky Bailey and Lyra Valkyria. But let's do these predictions. I got JC Jane retaining over Jordan Grace. I have Rhea Ripley beating Io Sky. I have Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss defeating the Judgment Day. I got Tiffany Stratton retaining over Trish Stratus. I got Jade Cargill defeating Naomi in the No Holds Barred match. I got Becky Lynch retaining over Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. Bayley and Lyra's anger will get the best out of them. There's a chance that this three-way could become a rematch at SummerSlam, and I wouldn't mind it, but I think that Becky will retain. And as far as the Battle Royal for the championship match in Clash in Paris, I only got two picks here. It's either Stephanie Vaquer or Nikki Bella, and in this case, I'm going with Nikki Bella to win the Battle Royal. And those are my predictions. No for Evolution. What? Saturday night's main event. What? And NXT, the Great American Bash. What? And that is what happened this week in WWE. Don't forget to check out my coverage for all three shows this coming weekend in the results section of WrestlingHeadlines.com. When we come back, we have one more segment to do here on the podcast at Hoots. That is to answer your questions in this week's edition of the Back Porch Q&A right here on episode 473 of the Hoots Podcast as the road to episode 500 continues right here on Odyssey. We love y'all. We'll be right back. Yeet. All right, ladies and gentlemen, one more segment to do here on the podcast of Who's this week. Time to answer your questions for this week's edition of the Back Porch Q&A session. We've been doing this for a long time now. One thing that's been a constant on this podcast is that you guys have been sending out your questions for nearly 10 years. And the fact that it's usual suspects, but the fact that I do get questions in general, I do appreciate it. And it comes from the heart. And I do want to appreciate Chris and Mike for contributing to making this segment for what it is. And if anybody ever wants to participate or ask me a question about wrestling, life in general, you can hit me up at the Hoots Podcast or the Hoots Podcast at gmail.com. It doesn't always have to be about wrestling. So, as tradition, let's do it. Let's drop the X. Throw it up, ladies and gentlemen. Throw the X up for the good brother Chris Soletta at Xing Soletta24X on the Twitter machine. He says, what up, who's here? Here's some questions for the Q&A this week. Does Blake turn on Jordan Gray Saturday or another time? Another time. If there's one match you could catch from All In, which one is it for you? Oh, man, that's a good one. Shockingly, I'd probably say Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay against the Young Bucks. I think that's pretty much it. I'm sure you can say Okada, Omega, but yeah, I have no comment on that. Do you think Tony D is heading to the main roster after Saturday? Yes. Do you think there will be any special appearances at Evolution? I'm pretty sure we'll see different legends and stuff in the Battle Royal for sure. Maybe some legends in the crowd, shots, stuff like that. For sure, I can see that happening. Which match are you looking forward to the most from Evolution, Great American Bash, and Saturday night's main event? Well, for Evolution, for me, Chris, is going to be the triple threat with Becky, Lyra, and Bayley. For Great American Bash, it's going to be Obafemi and Inamura. And then Saturday night's main event is going to be Goldberg and Gunther, with the caveat for number 2 being LA Knight and Seth Rollins. I just want to see how that match layout is going to be from a transfer point of view. Which match should be the main event of Evolution? Io Sky against Rhea Ripley. Thoughts on Shayna Baszler returning and working a producer role? I think Shayna should do whatever she wants to do. If she wants to be a producer, that's awesome. That's more of her power to do so. I don't really have a leg to stand on to be like, oh, she should be going to AEW. Why is she doing a producer role? But come on. If she wants to be a producer, that's no problem with me, honestly. Will Vikingo be NXT champion at some point? No. Right now, the way things are shaping up, Sammy could get his moment in 2026 and finally winning a world title. With that possibility and how organic it's currently feeling and not forced, will Sammy's moment be better than Daniel Bryan's, which was forced? Thank you for pointing it out, because it was forced. I hope so. I mean, if it's something where Sammy wins the Royal Rumble and he gets his chance to fight Seth Rollins for the World Championship at WrestleMania, no problem with that. I think I mentioned this before. I think my 2 world title matches for WrestleMania next year is going to be Sammy and Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes against CM Punk. So those are my 2 main events for WrestleMania next year. So we'll see how that one plays out. Thank you, Chris, for the questions this week. As always, good brother. I appreciate it. Next, we got the good brother Mike Rubio at Main Event Swerve. He says, what up, Boos? There's been a great evolution in this podcast. I appreciate you. And I'm glad to be any part of it. Good to be back for some back porch questions. Number 1, what do you think of the Evolution card overall? Is it worth the wait for several years? Yeah, I'm with everybody. Yeah, I would love to have seen more Evolution shows from the last one, but, you know, I appreciate what we have in the moment and the fact that it's here. So, there's a lot of matches on the card that I'm looking forward to. Like I said at the beginning, this whole rhetoric that the Evolution card was just thrown together is bullshit. I'm excited for JC and Jordan. I'm excited for the 3-way. I'm excited for the 4-way tag. Naomi and Jay Cargill's no holds barred match. Who's to say that Naomi doesn't try to find a way to cash in her briefcase or Tiffany Stratton and Trish Stratus? You know. There's a lot of stuff that can happen, and I'm even excited for the Battle Royals. So I'm very excited for the card. Bully Ray said that Trish and Tiffany didn't give him a reason to care about their title match. Do you agree? No, I don't agree. And I'm not going to expand further on that because Busted Open has an agenda, and I'm just going to leave it at that. Also, did you see the Players Tribune article that Charlotte Flair wrote? That 0-3 in marriages comment really struck a chord with her. Are you surprised to hear that vulnerable side from her? No, I'm not. And I'm very happy for Ashley Flair to speak from her heart and share what she wanted to share in that piece. It was wonderfully written. If you haven't checked it out, it's in the Players Tribune. And I've always been a Charlotte Flair fan. You guys know that. And she's a great person, and she did not deserve that comment as it happened. And I'm glad for her to acknowledge her vulnerability because it's not easy to do that. What is a breakout moment or breakout star you see in the women's battle royal for someone that does not win? That's a good question, Mike. I'm going to go with Jada Parker. How about that one? I can see Jada Parker making a name for herself in this battle royal. I really could. Thoughts on Stephanie Vancare's pop she got at NXT? Hasn't it only been 2 weeks? No, it's been more. It's just, I think we forget how fast time goes, but it's been about a month and a half or so since she's been on the main roster, so it has not been 2 weeks. On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you rate Paul Heyman's Penta promo in Espanol? I'm going to go with a Bret Hart special, 4 out of 10. How about that one? Speaking of Espanol, have you seen Bad Bunny's Novell video yet? I have not. I heard it's good, but I haven't had a chance to check it out yet. Do you see Bad Bunny returning for WrestleMania Vegas Part 2? How would you bring him back? Yes, I would. I would have Bad Bunny against Logan Paul at WrestleMania next year. That's what I would do. How about this one? Can we stop with Sasha 9 belts already? How will she finally lose the title and when? Well, if Tony Khan has half a brain left, I would think that you would recognize that his original talent and people that he's cultivated from WWE, like Tony Storm, would actually defeat Mercedes Moné, but he's going to fall for debate, and he wants that Booker of the Year award, so he's going to give it to Mercedes Moné, unfortunately. I want Tony Storm to win on Saturday. And again, just to reiterate, I don't have personal issues with Mercedes Moné. I just heard a lot of stuff about her over the years and how she treats people, and that she runs to dirt sheets for sympathy while she acts like a malcontent. That's all. That's all my stance on is on that. But where would you rather put Pat McAfee if you could only choose one? On Raw or only in sports broadcasts like the Home Run Derby? Raw. MLB Network has talked about the zombie Astros because 13 people are injured, yet the team has a 6-game lead. Does it kind of remind you of the 2005 White Sox with the next man up mentality? They swept the champs. That's a good point. I mean, the White Sox did lose Frank Thomas during the season, so I don't know if we had 13 people injured at the time. That's a lot of people, but I do believe in the next man mentality, but it also goes back to what their pitching rotation was, because that's really was the key of what made that team special and good that season was their starting rotation more than anything. With that team in mind, what stands out to you the most about Bobby Jenks since the big man passed away recently? This guy had a good spirit, man. He was recently the manager for the Windy City Thunderbolts. This was a minor league team here in Chicago. And just sad. It's really, really sad, man. I hated to hear that. I know he was been dealing with stomach cancer. And that stuff's scary, man. Wouldn't wish that on anybody. But Bobby's going to be missed, man. He's definitely going to be missed. For sure. I'll never forget seeing the whole, moment where Ozzy came out to bring him in, and he extended his arms out, calling for Bobby Jenks to come in for the World Series. Obviously, that World Series run was special, but he's also had a lot of good saves and stuff over the years, even after that season. And Bobby, I think it was a 2-time All-Star, if I'm not mistaken. But Bobby had a tremendous run, and it's going to be sorely missed. What do you think about Stephanie Vaquer and other female wrestling buddies surfacing? Is it cool to see females included in the wrestling buddy line? Yes, I think it's cool, and I wish we could see more, like a Julia buddy. That'd be pretty cool. Maybe a Paige one when she comes back to WWE. I would get that one. That'd be pretty cool. What is your favorite moment from Raw on Netflix so far? Oh, man, that's a good one. Fuck. I'm stuck with two. There's the Punk and Rollins match from the premiere episode, Mike. And then the other one for me was the Cena-Cody promo from London before WrestleMania. That promo segment was probably one of my favorites that I've seen so far. But that's a great question. With WWE Unreal debuting soon, what do you hope to see from behind the curtain that you haven't seen yet? I just want to see more of the dialogue between how they go about formatting the shows more than anything. I'm not really concerned about some of the stuff that the dirt sheet IWC people are worrying about. I'm more curious about the day-to-day stuff about what they actually do, because that's something that I want to do for a living. So I'm just kind of more of curious to see how the actual process is. So I'm excited for it. July 29th can't come quick enough. That's 18 days. So two and a half more weeks. But we'll get there soon. I'm excited for it. What else? Finally, Dave Meltzer said that if he had to pick the best wrestler of 2025 so far, he would pick Mystico. Oh my God. Just stop the pain. Just stop. I mean, if you want to say, like, Hangman Page was a Wrestler of the Year candidate, I wouldn't argue with you. Hell, if you want to say Mercedes Moné was a Wrestler of the Year candidate, I wouldn't argue with you. Hell, you could put freaking Will Ospreay as a candidate, and I wouldn't argue with you. But Mystico? So, does Seth Rollins don't get any credit for winning the main event of WrestleMania this year? Is Io Sky a blind eye? I don't know, man. That guy's a trip, man. That guy's lost so many brain cells at this point that I can't even, like, comprehend it at this point. But anyways, that's all for now, but I hope you enjoy Evolution this weekend and the mystery that is how AEW can sell out stadiums, but not the average Dynamite episodes. But that's for another time. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it, brother. Make sure to follow Mike at Twitter at Main Event Swerve. Chris is at Twitter at XEams20 for X on the Twitter machine. And that is the conclusion of the Back Porch Q&A session. As always, if you want to participate in the Back Porch Q&A session, all you have to do is hit me up at Twitter at the Hoots Podcast or the Hoots Podcast at gmail.com. On that note, that's going to put a rib on the bow in this week's edition of the podcast at Hoots. I am the one and only Josh Lopez. You can find me on Twitter at the Hoots Podcast, Instagram at Josh Lopez Music. Make sure to check out my coverage of the Great American Bash, Saturday night's main event, and Evolution all over WrestlingHeadlines.com this weekend. And don't forget to hit the like button and smash the subscribe button on YouTube as we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Do it right now. If you listen to this right now, hit that subscribe button. Do it now. But I just want to remember for folks that be the authentic product that is yourself. Remember, nobody dictates the pace of your life but yourself and the man upstairs. I want to give a big shout out to all the women that will be participating for the Evolution pay-per-view this Sunday. I'm looking forward to it. And big shout out to the sexiest MILF out there, Nikki Bella, for her grinding and getting the name out there for Evolution, not only through the press junket that she does, but the podcast that she's been doing with her sister. Really hyping and promoting this event, and having Nikki Bella back in the WWE is really nice to see. And she's a tremendous woman. Let's just say that. But I'm Joshie. This has been episode 473. The countdown to 500 goes from 27 to 26. I love y'all. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you, Bill Goldberg, on a wonderful career. And on that note, we'll talk to y'all and recap it all. This crazy-ass weekend of wrestling. We'll do it right here next week on the Hoots Podcast. Love y'all. Yeet.
Bye-bye, bitch.